Good morning and welcome to the third session of the online open day of the Han University of Applied Sciences. My name is Tommaso and I will be your host for this morning. In this session, we will be talking about life and studies at the Han, and I am joined with Leonieke and Carlos that will be helping me to go through this very section. First of all, welcome. Thank you very much for being here. So, Leonieke, you work at the Han. Would you mind telling us what you do and introducing yourself?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Well, my name is Leonieke Klumpes and I work in the international office at Han, both in Arnhem and in Nijmegen. So you will see us on every location. We do incoming student support, and my team of colleagues also do immigration, housing, all issues related to international students. You can find us for help.
Yeah, so anyone who's international, you will definitely run into Leonieke in a nutshell, basically. Yes. And Carlos, you are studying at the Han.
Yes.
Would you mind telling us where you're from, what you're studying?
Yes, of course. I'm from Brazil. I'm a first-year international business student, and I've been in the Netherlands for a little bit more than 10 months now.
Okay, and how has it been so far?
I would say it's pretty great. I really like it here.
Yeah, and you live in Arnhem, correct? Yeah. What is it like to live in Arnhem?
I would say it's pretty great. The city is really, really safe, which I think for all the Latin people coming here, it's something that we don't really have at home. The streets here are extremely safe. Everything's clear, it's clean, taken care of. So it's a really great city.
Excellent. That's really good to hear. And also, I can definitely confirm, I come from Italy myself, and I definitely came across pretty much the same matters that you just mentioned. So what's there in terms of fun activities and leisure things to do here in Arnhem?
I would say that's quite a lot. Personally, I think Nijmegen has a lot more than Arnhem. But Arnhem is also pretty fun. The Han, it organizes a lot of events. So it has a lot of sporting things, football, volleyball. It also has parties organized by the ISA and the ESN in Nijmegen. So yeah, I would say it can be pretty fun.
Yes, and have you joined any of these, for example, like football or soccer clubs or the party clubs?
Yeah, well, I admit I haven't been to football in a while. But yeah, sometimes I join in the parties and it's really nice. Everybody's very welcoming. So yeah, it's really nice.
And you mentioned, for example, ISA and ESN. Those are just for the people at home who are unfamiliar with these terms. They're just international student associations that organize different types of parties or events for international students, but actually for everyone. It's just bringing people together and having a good time all together. Yes, you confirm, Leonieke, as well.
Yeah, absolutely confirm. Yeah, so we just had the Week of the International Student, organizing a lot of activities in Arnhem and Nijmegen, and we cooperate with all these organizations. So yes, they're definitely involved.
Yes, that's fantastic to hear. So you mentioned a few things, Carlos, about living in Arnhem. I'm also curious in finding out, how do you get around? Do you have a bike here? Do you use the public transportation?
Well, I'll say I'm a little bit out of the curve. I don't have a bike. Because, yeah, I mean, I'm just used to using public transport back home. And here is 10 times better, so it just came naturally. And also, I live nearby, so I can walk to school.
There you go, yeah. And Leonieke, I saw that you were giggling when Carlos said that he didn't have a bike. Is it important in the Netherlands to have a bicycle?
Well, actually, I would recommend getting a bicycle because it's so easy to get around. We have a very secure cycle paths. It's very easy to cycle, and hey, it's actually quite fun to hook up together and to cycle somewhere together. So, maybe it would be an idea in your future.
Yes. Well, I can argue with that.
Yeah, same. I completely agree. It's really, really fun to bike around. And I think, to be honest, it's within a city, it's probably one of the most time-efficient means of transport. Needless to say, it's, of course, also quite a lot cheaper for international students, I think, to commute by bicycle rather than using a lot of public transportation. But the good thing that we also heard throughout other sessions of this open day is that Arnhem and Nijmegen are also pretty well connected with other cities around the Netherlands. So I know, Carlos, for example, that you commute to Amsterdam quite often. Does it take you a long time to get there?
Not really. Especially coming from Brazil, it's kind of crazy to me. You can get to pretty much anywhere in the Netherlands from Arnhem in about 1 hour. So, for example, Amsterdam, You take the train, you're there in an hour. Even if you're going to like one of the first stations, is even less.
Yeah, exactly. It's quite mind-blowing. You probably just like open the map, you see Arnhem, oh wow, it's on the other side compared to Amsterdam, but then really within 1 hour you are already there. So it's a pretty nice and interesting concept for sure. Now let's move on to a bit more the practical side of studying at the Han. So we got the fun side covered, but I'm also interested in knowing from you, Carlos, like what is it, what does your average week look like at the Han?
Well, usually we have classes on not every, but pretty much all weekdays. So usually I come to the Han, I study a little bit. Usually we don't stay the whole day, you know. So for example, Monday I came in at 9 and I left around 1 or 2. So after that, you know, you can do your own stuff. You can go home, you can study a little bit more what you saw. You can meet with friends, you can go out. Well, on a Monday I wouldn't suggest it, but you can do it. So I would say weeks here are pretty balanced. You study, you do self-study, but you also, you know, you have some fun.
Yeah, so you mentioned the studying within the classroom, but also some self-studying. And Leonieke, what would you say that is more or less a ratio between the two? Is it equal, or is there more of one of the two components?
Well, no, it's definitely all balanced out very well. And there's also a lot of group work involved, because on the University of Applied Sciences, the practical component of things is very important too. So you should expect to work on your studies for at least 40 hours a week. That would be a good estimate, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah. And do you have time next to your studies to, for example, have a side job?
Oh, absolutely. I actually have one. I got a job here really easily with there's a student association that works with the universities here, and yeah, it was really easy. After just 3 months here, they set up a bunch of interviews for me. They kind of prepared me for the interviews, and after I guess 4 or 5 months, I already had a job here.
Yeah.
But I would say like, for me, it was a little bit stressing to get it after like 3 months.
That's what I was about to mention, because I've also been working throughout my studies at the Han when I was still a student here. And I've also been working since day one, basically. Well, maybe not really day one, but like week 3 for sure. And when you are starting with a job whilst getting used to a new country, getting used to a new education system, going to your classes, doing your self-study, tackling your first exams, it's a lot all in once. So maybe as advice that I could give also to prospect students is perhaps waiting after the first year, first semester, just so that you're completely settled, you know your way around, and then you also know what is expected from you from the university, and then it might be a lot easier also to combine different activities, including work next to it. Yeah. So also on the more practical side of really performing within the Han, what does the grading system looks like here? Leonieke, would you mind answering this question?
Yeah, sure. I think we even have a slide coming up.
Yes, let's take a look.
For that. But in the Netherlands, we work with the European grading system. So a bachelor program is 240 ECTS. So in your first year, you need to get 60 credits. But in the Netherlands, we work with the Dutch grades. That's from a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being not very good and 10 being excellent. Well, you can actually see that in the grading system here. On the average, students perform within, you know, get between 6 and 7. That's if you look at the schedule as well, would be a good estimate. You are required to get at least 30 study points if you have a residence permit to maintain your visa. But students who want to pass to the second year need to get at least 75% of their credits.
Yeah, that's very important, very crucial. I know that the first year, there is quite a lot of pressure onto every single student to perform rather well, because otherwise you have a pretty high chance in not really continuing with the second year.
Exactly.
But what happens if you unfortunately aren't able to pass an exam? Can you retake it?
Yes, well, that can happen. And don't make a huge thing out of it. You always have the opportunity to do a resit. So discuss with your lecturer, of course, what went wrong. Really try to get that information, and that will help you to prepare for your resit. So don't worry, you can always try again. Yes.
That's very reassuring to hear. Yeah, do you have anything to share from your own personal experience, Carlos?
Personally, I would agree. I would say it's pretty easy. Back home, we never really had this system where you can just retake a test. And here, yeah, it's pretty nice that once you fail, you actually get a second chance. And if you also fail, in some cases, they'll also help you figure it out. You know, like the hun is always on your side, I guess.
Exactly. That's very important to point out. Of course, we also, with this, by saying this, we also don't want to encourage people to fail all the time, because you usually only get one chance to redo something, or then the other chance is given in the second year, and then you really need a certain amount of credits to fulfill the first years. But then, of course, if something happens and you aren't able to pass an exam, there are definitely ways to redo a certain exam. So how would you describe, Carlos, your workload, like the amount of actual studying that you need to do at the Han?
I would say it's pretty okay. Usually we come to class. It's rare that we have a class that we got, like we go out feeling kind of drained, you know? Like it was just too much information. So I would say if you you just show up to class, go home, take a look at what you saw, every once in a while do some exercises, you'll do just fine.
So would you be able to quantify the amount of hours, let's say, within a day or within a week, whatever you prefer, that you dedicate to the studying?
I would say the 40 hours of self-study, it's pretty good. But of course, it depends on the person, I guess.
Yeah.
If you have a subject that's kind of a thorn on your side, maybe spend some more hours on it. But I know some people that can, just do everything well and they study less than 40 hours, so I guess that works for them.
It's rather subjective. Yeah, I was always really jealous during my studies that some people were able to gather a whole lot of exam material within 1 week prior to the studying and do just fine, whereas maybe I would need to spread out my studying throughout the entire semester. But then again, it's very subjective. For sure, if you're looking for a word of advice, it would always be to spread your study through the entire semester, so that you're really, for sure, not going to be running into any issues or complications. Do you agree, Leonieke?
Yes, I totally agree. And don't postpone too much. I mean, just if you stick to the program and stick to the schedule, you should be able to finish your work on time, definitely. Yeah.
Excellent. And I'm also curious to learn how the academic calendar works at the Han. For example, Carlos, do you ever get time to travel either around Europe or back to Brazil, back home to visit your family?
Oh, absolutely. I would say going home back to Brazil, probably just the summer break, because it's the longest break we have.
Yeah.
But I would say the nice thing about here is that we often get like 1 week off. Pretty much, I would say almost every month we get a week off. And then since the Netherlands is very well located within Europe, you can travel a lot, So for example, 1 week off you can go to the north, you can go to France. So
excellent.
Yeah,
like everything is pretty well connected. And I see now on the screen that we also have a bit of an outline of what the academic calendar looks like, just to visualize it a little more. So there are definitely like little breaks within the year that we can take a look into. For example, the fall holiday that you would have within the first semester. Then, of course, the Christmas holiday. And then what's really nice about the second 2 breaks that you will get in the second part of the period is that they always come after the exams. So you really, whilst the first ones, they come before the exams, so maybe you will have to dedicate a little bit of the time to be studying. The spring and May holiday, you can really have that time fully off to, for example, visit family and friends, but also just to really take a moment to unwind and regather after a bit of a busy period. All right, so when I think of the Han, I think of this very nice and engaging community. And also what we learned in earlier sessions is that there are some things called student associations. So would you mind, Leonieke, explaining to us what these associations are?
Yes, so every study program actually has their own association. So that is mainly focused on that type of study. There will be Dutch students and international students involved. But besides that, there's also like student associations, and that's more for the leisure and the fun part of things. For instance, in Arnhem, we have ISA, the International Student Association. So all these students with an international background will come together, and they have parties, they have food events, and they do a lot of fun things together. In Nijmegen, we have ESN, the Erasmus Student Network, and that's a similar type of thing, also involving the Radboud University students. So that will really broaden your social environment, actually, when you join an association like that. Yes.
Absolutely. And Carlos, you were mentioning these associations earlier. Have you joined any of them since the beginning of your studies?
Yes, absolutely. I've been to a couple of parties from the ISA and the ESN. I've even been to one ESN party in Amsterdam, actually.
Oh, really?
Yes.
How was your experience? Did you have a fun time at these events?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would say the best thing is that people are they're very open, they're very welcoming. So if you don't really have anything to do, just go there, say, hey, I don't have anything to do, can I hang with you guys? And everybody will be, open to you. They'll I don't really know what to say. Everybody is really nice.
No, and you're absolutely right. And especially when you're coming to the Netherlands from a foreign country, in most cases you're coming just by yourself, right? This is really one of the best opportunities, in my opinion, to really get to know people around, because you're also getting to know these people outside of the study context. So you don't really only end up discussing about things related to your academic journey, but more so also things related to your background, to who you are, to what kind of things you like. And then there you can really find, for example, mutual interests or mutual things to do together. So it's definitely an excellent way to get your network started within the Netherlands.
Well, when it comes to starting, the International Office actually organizes welcome days for international students, and that's prior to your introduction week of your study program. And we highly recommend you coming there, because all people from all walks of life and all different backgrounds will be joined together, and that will be the best way to get to know people straight away from the start. Definitely.
And what do you do during a welcome day then?
Oh, there's many things. We will provide a lot of information to get you started here. For instance, registering at the municipality office, how to get your bank account, and many other things. International students' work will be available, so you can learn all about how to get a job next to your studies. And yes, it's very informative, but we really put a big focus on getting connected with other students as well.
And that's honestly super reassuring to hear that you can also get some support when it comes to these technicalities. For example, registering or opening a Dutch bank account, etc.
Yes.
Like those are things that, at least when I first moved into the Netherlands, I was like, oh my gosh, how do I actually end up doing this?
Yes.
And then receiving quite a lot of guidance was definitely quite handy to me. Were you able to join the welcoming days, Carlos?
I don't think so, because when I came here it was COVID.
Oh, right, of course. Then
Yes.
the whole system was administrated in a slightly different way.
Yes.
Yeah. So another factor that I feel like we should be bringing to light, which is quite important to discuss, is also discussing like student health and student well-being. So I know that at the Han you can get some support when it comes to that. And Leonieke, would you mind explaining to us a little how that would work?
Sure. It's very important to have a healthy and safe work environment and study environment. That's very important to you, but also very important to us. So within your study group, there will be study counselors, study coaches, and they will really be there for you, and it's a very personal contact. But if you do have different problems or issues, or you want to talk about things, we have a student support center, and there's psychologists who are definitely there to help you. But besides that, if you're not into visiting someone in person straight away, there's many e-health programs available to Han students about mindfulness, about how to approach study stress, or many things, and that's very, very helpful. Yes.
So a plethora of different options when it comes to really gaining any sort of support that you might be needing throughout your studies.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, very good. So one last question before we round up with this session, and of course, just a quick note for the people watching, we are hosting a Q&A after each and every segment that we're having today. So if you have any pressing questions, feel free to ask them in the chat function of the platform so that we can get back to you right after we're finished with the session. But once again, one last question that I have for both of you actually is regarding the cost of living. How much would you say that you would spend per month, Carlos, as a student?
I would say when you arrive here, it's better to have, I would say, between 800 and 2,000 reserved. But truth be told, in the first few months, you don't spend that much. So I would say 800 to 1,200. It's a good amount for the first months. But after you make some friends, you want to do some traveling, you want to spend a little bit more. So then I would say, yeah, be higher than that.
Yeah, but on this note, I would also say that potentially, as time goes by, you also get to learn a little more how, for example, little different tips and tricks about like saving some money, for instance. So it's true that, of course, by getting to know more people, you want to be more active and do more things. But at the same time, I believe you also learn how to save money. For example, on transportation, there is a bunch of different little systems that you can adopt to, for example, save money when traveling on the weekends or traveling during off-peak hours. Also, when it comes to, for example, doing your groceries, you really get to learn what the most expensive supermarkets are and how to save money within a supermarket. But what you're saying is totally like also very true. Like you just really want to engage more during the later months of your studies. And Leonieke, what do you recommend students to bring in terms of like financial means to survive, for example, for a month?
Yes, well, first of all, if you're a European student, you probably have a bank account and a bank card which you can use. A lot of transactions are cashless. In the Netherlands, Han is actually a cashless campus, so that would be a very good thing. In the beginning, we will definitely guide you around and tell you where you can use your normal money, right? So, but it's a very good idea to get a bank account as soon as possible. And yes, we're here to help you with that. But bringing some money to start your stay is always a very good idea because it takes some time before it's all up and running. So
absolutely, absolutely. And let's talk like from a very like practical type of example. How much would for example, would a meal or a cup of coffee cost you here in the Netherlands, Carlos?
I would say it depends on where you eat, of course.
Of course.
But yeah, I would say, for example, Domino's pizza is about 15 euros, for example. So if you like that type of meal,
you're set. And then how about like a cup of coffee, which I guess a lot of students really live off of?
To be honest, I'm more of an energy drink type of guy. So.
All right.
Well,
maybe Leonieke can help us.
Yes, here on campus, it's obviously not that expensive as you would go to the city, but yeah, 2-3 euros would be very doable. A nice sandwich, 4 or 5 euros. A hot meal, a little bit higher than that. So yeah. But my suggestion would be get some new friends and cook together. That's definitely very beneficial. You get to taste some different cultures' food, and it's much cheaper and more fun. So, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. Thank you so much for giving us also these examples, which, yeah, we're just really given to give you guys from home a bit of a perspective of how much you can really expect to be spending. And of course, once again, as it was mentioned, it's super relative to the type of lifestyle that you want to conduct, the type of activities that you want to partake in, and also what kind of person you are and how you want to organize yourself, if you like cooking, for example, or if you rather just order a meal at home. So that's of great help, I'm sure, for most of the people watching. But I believe that during this session, we have already covered a lot of different topics about life and studies at the Han. But I'm really intrigued by some of the questions that people from home have just asked us. And again, like if you have any, feel free to ask them in the chat. And the first question that we have received is actually, how is the campus lifestyle and the one outside the campus? So perhaps I think they're looking for a comparison here. Carlos, would you mind giving an answer to this?
Yes, absolutely. I would say it really is what you make of it. Mm-hmm. So yeah, of course, sometimes, it's different. Sometimes you'll come to class early, there's not a lot of people. Sometimes you come and the school's full. But I would say if you just get around, like I said, people are very, very friendly. So if you just open yourself, you make a lot of friends. And by repercussion, you come to school and you see many of them. So it's a very pleasant environment. And outside, I mean, same thing, you get WhatsApp. So after you get out of school, you just text your friends and you do something. Usually, Arnhem doesn't have that many things to do on the weekdays. So, but I mean, when you got friends, you can just figure it out. Yeah. You can cook together, you can go biking, you can go shopping. So,
what is your favorite activity to do with your friends?
Well, I actually like cooking tacos a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wonderful. Wonderful.
Nice. Yeah, we will actually also give a lot of suggestions as an international office via Instagram. Han.international is our page, so we do a lot of suggestions. Say, hey, you can go here. This is for free, or there's some nice events. So we'll help you a little bit there too.
It's absolutely lovely what you guys are doing on all of your social networks. Really, like it just gives a lot of an impression of what really can take place. So even if you're considering starting to study your studies at the Han, even in 1 year from now, it is already of great advice from me to start looking at the Han University's Instagram pages, just to see what kind of activities our students are really up to, because you really put out there a lot of different contents, and all of it, I think, is really nice and insightful. So that's absolutely wonderful.
Excellent.
Now we have another upcoming question, and the question is, are there sport facilities at the Han, like gym or sport centers? Carlos, would you mind answering this?
Absolutely. I haven't been to all sports, but from all I know, for football, basketball, and volleyball, the Han rents sort of a gymnasium that's like 5 minutes walking from here. So, and they just program the activities themselves. Well, usually they have a student who coordinates the whole thing, and then you just show up. Like I say, usually to the gymnasium, and you just play.
Yeah, and it's a lot of fun. And regarding like fitness centers and gyms, unfortunately, the campus in Arnhem doesn't quite provide a gym. However, you can subscribe to a student sports card, it's called, and then you get access for a relatively low price to a bunch of different gyms around the city of Arnhem. Whereas in the campus in Nijmegen, it's really nice because the Han collaborates with the Radboud, which is another university within Nijmegen. And then you can also get access to the sports center, which is basically a gathering of different sport facilities. You can do a bunch of different courses, really ranging from normal fitness into also getting to do group classes. And bouldering, for example, is something that I'm really getting passionate as we speak. So you really get to do a bit of everything within the sports center. But yeah, there's definitely ways around to keep yourself active. I guess it's really within the Dutch principles of conducting a very healthy lifestyle, from biking everywhere to also doing lots of sports within every day, mostly. Yeah, would you agree?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Wonderful. So we have another question for you. What surprised you the most about studying at the Han? And what surprised you the most about living in the Netherlands? And this, I guess, Carlos, you can answer best.
That's a good one, actually. What surprised me the most about the Han? I would say really the nationalities. When I came here, I was expecting just anywhere studying in Europe, I figured it would just be filled with like European students. But there's a lot of international students. Ever since I came here, I made a lot of friends from like places that I would never expect to have friends from,
So also outside of Europe?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, yeah, the classroom is extremely international, even more than I expected.
Yeah.
So that's, I would say, something really great, and that really came as a surprise.
There's actually more than 100 nationalities here on campus. So, yes. It's very internationally oriented.
That's fantastic. And also I can confirm that really you get exposed to all sorts of nationalities. It's not like there is a predominance of people coming from countries around the border, but really like anywhere, like just even looking at the online open day that we've been having today, we had someone from Ecuador, from Lithuania, from Ireland, and from Italy, or from Brazil. Like literally, we got the whole world covered already now. So that's absolutely fantastic. And how about the thing that surprised you the most about living in the Netherlands?
About living in the Netherlands? I'll say the directness.
Really?
Yes. So coming from Brazil, people, we have a lot of banter, you know, we go a lot around things to say it. And the Dutch, they're really direct, you know? They speak their mind and then they leave after they said what they had to.
So, Leonieke, as a Dutch person, do you see yourself being particularly direct when it comes to addressing people or things?
Yeah, well, I've been working with international students quite a fair bit, so I know how to address things and how to approach that. But yes, I've heard this, and it's very important to, if you have any questions or something, to just to ask. Don't leave it, and if you don't agree, you're welcome to share your opinion as well. So yeah. If you want to have a chat about that, or you're insecure, can I say that? Can I not say that? We're here to help you if you really want to know. Yeah.
And I would say the Dutch directness, it really is what it is. It's just directness. I don't think Dutch people, the nice thing about them is that they're really down to earth. So, you know, it's really rare that you see here in the Netherlands, like fights and really just, you know, really bad situations. It's not really common here.
It's very diplomatic as a country. Yes. Like, we really like to address issues here, to solve them with our own words rather than taking other means, basically.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I believe that this is a wrap for this session, but I'm really interested in learning from you if there's anything else that you would like to add that is relevant to the discussion of life and studies at the Han.
Well, I think both Arnhem and Nijmegen, just 20 minutes apart by train, good to mention, are both very nice cities to explore. And Han is a very nice, open university where you will definitely feel at home. Yeah.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. And Carlos, any final remarks from your side?
Honestly, I don't feel the need. I mean, we got a great team. We got more sessions coming up. So I guess we have everything covered for now.
Exactly. So, for example, if you have questions regarding visas and scholarships, the next session is going to be about just that. So stick around with us. And thanks again to Leonieke and Carlos for joining me in this session. We had a lot of fun talking about the life and the studies at the Han. Thank you very much again. And thank you all for watching these sessions. We hope that you're finding these informative, and we look forward to seeing you in the upcoming one. Thank you.